The White House is reportedly considering between $10 and $14 billion in funds to bail out U.S. farmers as the ongoing trade war has raised costs and hit U.S. exports of soybeans. Here with more about how farmers are handling tariffs is John Boyd Jr., National Black Farmers Association founder and president, as well as being a fourth-generation farmer himself. John, thank you so much for being here. Talk to me about the backdrop here. What is happening on your farm? What is happening on your members' farms?
Well, this is probably one of the worst times in history since the 80s that, farmers are losing their farms at record numbers. Farm foreclosures are up, farm bankruptcies are up, farm suicides are up, and the administration is slow to react. All of this chaos and havoc has happened to America's farmers within 9 months since the president announced tariffs on China and Mexico and other countries, where now China is beginning to buy soybeans from Argentina, and the president bailed them out with $20 billion. And we see it as that could have been a whole lot of relief for America's farmers. For the first time in a very long time, I was not able to secure a farm operating loan myself this year due to the bankers telling me that the cost per acre just wasn't working. As the young people said, the math wasn't math in here. And I was out here, so I'm basically farming from vendors, so to speak. So it's a very troubling time in America's history for America's farmers. And as we lose farm, there's the vice president who's out here buying land through his company, Acre Trader. All of these are happening while America's farmers are going under. The beef industry is at an all-time low, and now we're buying beef from places like Brazil. For the first time, we're importing eggs. We need to be investing in America's farmers and America's small farmers in this country.
And it's interesting at a time where the administration talks a lot about homegrown industry, right? Things like pharmaceuticals and semiconductors. Your argument that they should be investing in farmers as well. I want to dig into the math that's not mathing a little bit more, John.
Yes.
Talk to me about your input costs and what has been happening to them. And then on the flip side, what's happening to your sales prices in your end markets?
Well, the first time President Trump came in to office and announced his announcement for tariffs on China, I was selling soybeans in the United States for $16.80 a bushel. The price plummeted all the way down to about $7 a bushel. And now the president's in office again, and he's with his tariff war, and the price have plummeted right now again, hovering around $9 and some change a bushel. And farmers can't produce soybeans for that kind of price. My input costs, fertilizer is up, lime is up, seed is up. There's a labor crisis in this country where this administration cracked down on immigration for the very people who've been doing America's farmers hard work here. They're leaving this country due to the president's immigration policies. All of these are a recipe for disaster in American agriculture. And I can't figure out why this issue in this story isn't a top tier story. The president says something every day that tops what he says yesterday, and he's on there saying his tariffs are great. America's farmers are going to get money from the tariffs. We're not getting any money from the tariffs, people. A lot of those issues are tied up in federal court. The president frequently says he loves America's farmers, but he's letting us lose our farms at the auction block. Something is terribly wrong with this picture. We haven't been at the table. We have 160,000 members. Thank you for asking about our membership, 160,000 members. And I haven't had one invitation from the administration, from the Ag Secretary or the White House to sit down and have a real FaceTime meeting about the hardships of our farmers. And black farmers in this country, we never really got anything from the federal government. Under the first president's bailout for farmers, I think it was $25 billion. Black farmers were virtually absent from those numbers. And we have to find a way to make sure that all farmers in this country, when these taxpayers roll out these monies, are available and actually receive the funds themselves. Whether you're black, whether you're white, whatever your color is, We need the same amount of money. My cows eat the same amount of grass and hay as everybody else's, and my tractors burn the same amount of diesel fuel as everybody else, and we need the same type of resources of other farmers.
John, how much is riding on getting these bailout funds? How necessary are they for the farmers, and how much time will that buy you all?
Well, it's like putting a Band-Aid when you need major surgery. It's a partial fix, people. And I'm telling you that the United States is heading down the wrong path in America's agriculture. These skilled farmers that are losing their farms are leaving this career path with an awful lot of knowledge that we're not passing down to the next generation of farmers. And farming is a skill set that has to be taught. I'm a fourth generation farmer. I was taught to farm by my daddy, John Board Sr., and my grandfather, Thomas Board, and Lee Robinson, all invested time and effort to show me the skill set of farming. And I think I'm pretty good. I've been out here 42 years at it. We can't let these farmers leave this occupation and not tap the level of skill set. And that's a big mistake on behalf of this administration and the president. This isn't something that you just get out there and say you're going to help them and you like them and all of this stuff. This is something that has to be planned out. Your farming operation has to be planned out months in advance. It's not like a regular job, people. So it's it's the hardest occupation known to man. The work never ends. My hat goes off to any farmer that's out here doing it every day. And it's a shame that we're in the predicament that we are with some of the lowest crop prices in history for corn, wheat, and soybeans. The three things that the United States still does better than anybody is produce corn, wheat, and soybeans. And the president used that to gamble on with the future of America's farmers. Now, I think it's a very shameful thing to do.
John, thank you so much for your perspective, and good luck to you. Thanks for joining us.
Support America's farmers, people. God bless you.
Joining me now, Caleb Ragland, American Soybean Association president and, of course, a soybean farmer himself. Caleb, it's been a minute since we had a chance to talk, so we appreciate you joining us. Where are your soybeans right now? Are they just sort of sitting in silos, waiting to be shipped to whoever's going to buy them?
We have a great supply of soybeans that are ready for customers. And historically, China is a large purchaser of our soybeans. They're the largest export customer in recent years, and they have been buying about 25% of the whole U.S. crop in recent years. Unfortunately, they have not purchased any soybeans out of the crop that is currently being harvested. No purchases have been made since May, and none are on the books for future months. And this is a five-alarm fire for our industry. China purchases more soybeans than all of our other current export customers combined. And with them not entering the market, it is very concerning for the future of our industry. We export about half of all the soybeans that we produce in this country, and China purchases more than all other customers combined. So they consume 61% of all soybeans consumed worldwide. So they're a major market and not a market that we just flip a switch and replace. And we need our presidential administration to be working hard to get this market back. It's obviously a complicated political situation, but the Chinese market is vital for agriculture in this country. Soybeans are the largest ag export that we make as a country.
Right.
China is our biggest customer, so they are a vital part of the business that we do and a big part of the economy of rural America.
Caleb, talk to me about what happens in the meantime. You said you're harvesting right now. Obviously, different crops can keep for different amounts. In the case of soybeans, once you get them off the plant, what happens to them, and how long can they sit around before you need to move the crop?
The soybeans are stored dry, and they can last for several months in storage. The biggest issue is the American farmers need cash flow. They need income. This is the payday that they have, is they've invested in all the expenses of growing the crop and getting it ready for market. And once it's ready to sell, they need that income so that they can pay their bills, so they can feed their families and take care of all the other financial obligations that they have. And that is a bigger issue than the shelf life of the soybeans. But that while that is a concern, the main issue is American soybean farmers need cash flow. We need good markets, and we need economic opportunity. And right now, that is really a challenge.
And, this aid package that is being talked about, does that at least help sort of bridge that cash flow gap?
The aid package that's being discussed is not something that American soybean farmers are rallying for necessarily. It is a last-ditch effort to help plug a hole of an economic shortfall that we are experiencing as an industry. What we need long term is strong markets and competition for the products we're producing. We want to make a profit from the market. We need competition for our soybeans. Unfortunately, there's not enough market competition taking place right now due to the trade war we're in, and this package that's being proposed is a short-term stopgap measure. But this is really just putting a Band-Aid on a open wound. We are bleeding economically. We're losing a lot of money. Our economist at the American Soybean Association says that we're going to lose $109 per acre on every acre that's produced in soybeans in this country this year. On 83.4 million acres, that is a lot of money being lost. And what we need is competition. We need a level playing field, and we get that by not having tariffs that are in place and the retaliatory tariffs that result. And we need to be able to compete fairly with the competitors from around the world. Right. Brazil is our largest competitor. And right now they're kicking our tail because they have about a 20% price advantage in the Chinese market. And we can see an example what happened here recently with the Argentina holiday that was taken on when they put the tax at the export tax, when they did the tax holiday and they had a level playing field. The Chinese came into the Argentina market and purchased immediately because the price was competitive once again. We would see the same thing happen with our soybeans if we had a level playing field and didn't have a 20% retaliatory tariff in place that the Chinese have levied.
Caleb, I'm curious, though, if China has now turned to Brazil and other markets for its supply of soybeans, even if the trade war ends, what gives you the confidence that they're going to come back to the U.S. as a customer if they're getting the supply they need elsewhere?
That long term, they still need some of our soybeans. As I mentioned earlier, 61% of soybean consumption that takes place in the world takes place in China. The Brazilians don't currently produce that much. Gotcha. China will need some of our soybeans. Ultimately, they want to buy the soybeans where they can get them at the best price point. And if we have a competitive price, we know that they want our product because it is a good quality soybean. It's a good economic value when there's not tariffs in place. And they will come because we give them value, but we have to give them value in the market. If we're out of touch where our price point is, they're going to look elsewhere. So we have to be price competitive and also provide a good quality product, which we have a history of doing. We just need the opportunity to do that once again.
Well, Caleb, before this current trade war, were there any barriers to you selling into China? In other words, isn't this, I think the argument has been on the part of the administration that we'll be better off after all of this ends, but you guys were fine before, right?
We were doing okay, and love them or hate them, the Chinese bring a lot of demand, and they need our soy protein to raise the meat protein that they feed their people. There's more pigs in China than the rest of the world combined, and they need our soy protein to feed their pork. They also need our soy protein for their poultry. That's the two main meat proteins that their people eat, and they have a huge appetite for that, and they need soy to feed them. They can't produce enough on their own, and the U.S. and Brazil are the two largest providers of that soy protein. We need to be competing in that market. It's a great opportunity for the American farmer. It's the largest ag export from the United States, and we need to be participating in that market as much as possible. It's a market that U.S. Soy has worked for nearly 50 years, getting that market segment established and growing that market and providing quality and providing consistency. And we have a reputation of bringing excellent quality soybeans to the Chinese market. They want our products. We just need to provide them at a price competitive point, and that's where the tariffs get in the way in the trade war.
Caleb, great to see you again. Thanks for checking in with us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Julie.
The Trump administration may roll out what it calls substantial support for American farmers who have suffered losses due to trade policy. Now let's hear directly from the farm. Blake Hurst joins us. He is former president of the Missouri Farm Bureau and a farmer. Blake, welcome to the show. I want to start off kind of bigger picture, Blake, because I'm curious to hear how the American farm economy is doing right now, Blake. You know, broadly, how is it holding up? What is your sense?
Well, we're overall farm income is down slightly, but that's a tale of two different economies. Livestock, particularly cattle, are doing very well. Crop farmers like our farm are operating at a loss.
Why are you operating at a loss, Blake?
Because our prices 3 years ago for the bushel of corn was $7. Today it's $4. Our costs have remained the same. Same percentage drop for soybeans, or probably a little worse. So we've seen a tremendous drop in our profitability.
And Blake, my understanding is that in particular, it is the soybean farmers like yourself who are having a particularly challenging time. Is that accurate?
Oh, absolutely. Over the past few years, China has purchased 25% of U.S. soybeans. This year, this marketing year, which starts in the fall, October 1st, they have contracted for zero. So we basically, by a typical year, 10% of our crop would have been marketed to Chinese buyers. This year, we've sold zero. So that's obviously weighing on prices and makes a real concern about how we're going to even have room for this year's soybean crop. It's a good crop. In much of the Midwest, we had a very favorable summer, but we're faced with low prices this fall.
So put some math on this for me, Blake. You will sell your bean crop for about what a bushel, you think?
Well, today, right around $10, and that's just barely break even on soybeans. Again, 2 or 3 years ago was $13 or $14 a bushel. So farming is cyclical, and this isn't our first rodeo with a drop in prices. But it has definitely been made worse by the trade war with China.
Let me ask you, Blake, if President Trump can cut some type of deal with Xi and get the Chinese to buy U.S. soybeans, what would that mean for your farm and for the industry?
Oh, it would be a tremendous boon to the industry if we got a deal. Of course, if we hadn't put our tariffs on in the first place, we wouldn't have needed a deal. We would have been operating in the normal market economy, but that's not the route we decided to take, and farmers are paying the price.
Well, here's, Blake, maybe, the Trump administration, I'm guessing, might put it something like this. They might say, Blake, what we're trying to do it's big, it's historic. We're trying to reform the global trading system, and there's going to be some short-term pain, but longer term, the objective is to put American industry and American farmers on firmer, fairer ground with stronger trade deals. What do you say to that?
Well, we put the first round of tariffs on China in 2018 during the first Trump administration. The Biden administration kept them in place. We've had 7 years to see how this experiment's going to work out, and so far it's a complete bust. There's no other way. There's no other way to put it. We have seen the administration announce a couple trade deals. The most recent one with Taiwan, and they said, by golly, we're going to sell Taiwan $10 billion of agricultural goods in the next 4 years. The problem is, in the last 4 years, they bought over $12 billion. So the deal that they're trumpeting is no better than the status quo. So far, we have not seen those results. So far, we have not seen an improvement in our position as exporters.
Let me ask you, Blake, the Journal is reporting here that Trump is considering $10 billion or more even in aid to farmers. What would you make of that possible response?
Well, if he sends me a check, I will spend it. But it seemed rather, it's crazy when you think about it. We put on tariffs, collect money, and then we take that money, which we've collected from American consumers, including farmers who buy imported goods. We take that money and give it to the industry that's been hurt by those very same tariffs. Seems to me that it would make a lot more sense to get rid of the middleman, drop the tariffs, and again, resume normal trade relations.
Let me ask you, Blake, what is your sense of how much farmers in the farming community still support Trump, despite, financial challenges?
The most recent polling I saw said 70% of farmers support our present trade.
Why is that, Blake? Why is that, Blake?
That's a very good question. It's because I think we're conservative. We like a lot of the things that President Trump has done in other areas. We're willing to give him a chance, but time is not on our side, and it's certainly not on the side of the Trump trade policy.
Final question, Blake. I am curious. Trump's deportation policies. What kind of impact? What kind of effect is that having on the American farming economy? What do you hear?
Well, that's the difference of what kind of farming. I'm sitting in a combine today, turned it off for a minute to visit with you. So we use a lot of machinery, and we're able to do most of our farm jobs with machinery. And so we don't depend on migrant or temporary labor. As it turns out, we have a greenhouse business, and we do use H-2A labor. They're legal, but we do use workers from Mexico. So I've seen both sides of the story, and for those farmers that have a lot of apples to pick or strawberries or any other crop that's picked by hand, the deportations are a real concern, I'm afraid.
Blake, it's great to have you on the show today. Thank you for your time, sir.
You bet. Thank you.